Ladies and gentlemen, everything starts in the mind. You see, the pictures you hold in your head determine what shows up in your life. If you can see it, you can hold it. That's the law. Most people live from the outside in. What you must do is live from the inside out. Your thoughts become your beliefs become actions, and your actions create results. Fix an image of what you truly want. Don't just wish, see it, feel it, own it. When you do that, your mind and body move in harmony and success begins to chase you. That's how you think and grow rich. Visualization is the foundation of all achievement. It's not some mystical or abstract practice. It's the deliberate use of your imagination to create a new reality in your mind before it becomes real in the physical world. When you visualize with clarity and emotion, you're doing exactly what every successful person in history has done. Whether they realize it or not, they were impressing an image on their subconscious mind. And that image directed their behavior, influenced their vibration, and ultimately shaped their results. Most people are visualizing all the time, but they're doing it unconsciously. They see lack, they feel fear, they picture failure. And what do they get? More of the same. You can't expect abundance while picturing loss. You can't create success while emotionally connecting with doubt. The mind works in images. Language is secondary. Your mind grabs onto pictures. So if you want to create something new, you have to build that picture, and you have to see it clearly. That's where clarity comes in. Clarity means you must know exactly what you want. Vague goals bring vague results. If you say, I want to be successful, that's not enough. What does success look like to you? What does it feel like? Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? If you can't answer those questions with vivid detail, you're not really visualizing. You're just wishing. And there's a big difference. Wishing is weak and visualization is powerful when it's clear, focused, and emotionally charged. Now, the emotional part is the key. The subconscious mind doesn't respond to logic or reason. It responds to feeling. When you visualize, you must feel the joy, the gratitude, the confidence as if the goal were already achieved. When you combine clear mental pictures with strong emotion, you're creating a magnetic force that pulls that reality toward you. That's not magic. It's the law of vibration and attraction at work. You're sending out a signal, and the universe, through people, circumstances, and ideas, responds to match that frequency. It's not enough to just sit in a chair and daydream once a week. You must turn visualization into a daily ritual, a habit. You can't hit a target you can't see, and you can't see a target you don't look at every day. That's why repetition is crucial. The more often you impress the image on your mind, the more natural it becomes, and the more your behavior begins to align with that image. You'll start to speak differently, act differently, make decisions different. That's because your subconscious mind is taking control, and when that happens, you're in flow. You're not forcing success, you're attracting it. Visualization is not passive. It's not about escaping reality. It's about designing reality. It's about designing reality. You're the architect of your life, and the blueprint is formed in your mind. Every great athlete, entrepreneur, artist, they all use visualization. They see the result before it happens. They feel the success before it arrives. That's why when they step onto the field or the stage or into the boardroom, they move with certainty. They've already been there in their mind. The body just follows. But remember, visualization must be rooted in belief. You can't fake it. If you don't truly believe in the image you're holding, the energy won't connect. That's why it's important to start with goals that stretch you, excite you, but still feel possible. As your confidence grows, so will your ability to visualize even bigger things. And when you feel doubt creeping in, use visualization to overpower it. Don't argue with your limitations. Replace them. See yourself succeeding. See yourself overcoming. See yourself already in possession of what you desire. That mental rehearsal is everything. Most people try to change their lives by changing conditions. They think if they get more money, they'll feel abundant. If they find love, they'll feel worthy. That's backwards. You must first feel abundant and then the money flows. You must feel loved and then the right people appear. Visualization flips the cause and effect. You no longer react to life. You create it. When you hold a powerful image in your mind, life begins to rearrange itself around that image. Let's be very clear. This is not about fantasy or delusion. You don't visualize to escape. You visualize to create, and the creation process starts with clarity. You've got to know what you want down to the details. What car? What house? What kind of business? How do you dress? How do you feel when you wake up? These are not trivial things. They're the seeds of your future. Plant them intentionally and water them daily with emotion. Emotion is the fuel. Without it, the image is lifeless. It sits in the conscious mind but never penetrates the subconscious. That's why so many people set goals but don't reach them. They never engage their feelings. They never believe it. When you visualize, you must become the person who already has the result. Walk like them, talk like them, think like them, think like them. That's how the subconscious mind accepts the new identity, and that identity begins to express itself through you. There's also a science to this. Neurologically, when you visualize, your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. It creates new neural pathways. It strengthens the connections that support the behavior aligned with your goal. So you're not just imagining, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're creating the mental framework to support the physical manifestation. This is why clarity is non-negotiable. If your mental image is blurry, the results will be too. You must see yourself in possession of the goal with such intensity and repetition that it becomes a part of your identity. You no longer hope for it, you know it's yours. That's when the shift happens. That's when you stop chasing and start attracting. The goal becomes inevitable because your mind has already claimed it. Thinking from the end result is a practice that transforms your life by shifting your identity and consciousness into alignment with what you truly desire. Most people think from where they are, from their current circumstances, limitations, and challenges. But that approach only reinforces the present and brings more of the same. If you want real change, you rate as though it's already done. It's about embodying the person who already has the success, wealth, health, relationship, whatever your goal may be. The mind doesn't operate on time. It responds to images and feelings, not to the calendar or the clock. So when you begin to hold thoughts, beliefs, and feelings that match your desired you, have to learn to think from the result, not about the result. There's a powerful difference. Thinking from the result means you mentally step into the life you want and outcome. You're impressing that state of being on your subconscious mind. And once the subconscious accepts that as truth, it must express that truth in your external reality. That's how the creative process works. You go there in your mind and your life catches up. You move into harmony with the thing you want, and that harmony draws it to you like a magnet. You can't wait for the result to show up before you believe it's possible. That's what most people do, and that's why they stay stuck. They say, I'll feel successful when I have the money, or I'll be confident when I get the promotion, or I'll be happy when I find the right person. But the universe doesn't work like that. You must feel it first. You must think it first. You must think it first. You must become it in thought and feeling before it becomes real in form. Thinking from the end result means you're living in the energy of already having what you want. That's not pretending, it's creating. This is not about ignoring reality or denying your current situation. It's about choosing where you place your focus and where you direct your energy. You're not running from your present. You're building your future. Every time you act, speak, and think as the version of yourself who already has the goal. You're collapsing the gap between you and it. You're not waiting. You're being. And that being is what transforms your doing. When you think from the end, your decisions change. Your posture changes. Your energy changes. You begin to see options and opportunities you never noticed before. You begin to resonate on a different frequency. That's why people start showing up. Ideas start coming. Circumstances start to shift. It's not coincidence, it's resonance. The internal state causes the external reflection. You are not hoping for change, you are becoming the change. Now, this takes discipline. The world around you is going to try to pull you back into the old way of thinking. It'll reflect your past beliefs, not your current vision. That's why it's critical to hold the image and feeling of your desired outcome consistently. You don't just do this once a day and forget it. You train yourself to think from the end moment by moment. When you're faced with a challenge, you ask, how would the successful version of me handle this? When you doubt yourself, you remind yourself, this is already mine. When fear shows up, you feel the fear and still act as though the goal is done. That is real power. Thinking from the end also requires you to let go of the how. The how is not your job. That's where so many people get tripped. They get a vision, they get excited, and then immediately their mind asks, but how will it happen? And if the how isn't obvious, they shut down the vision. That's backwards. The how comes after the vision, not before. Your job is to know the what and to live in the feeling of it being already complete. The universe handles the details. Circumstances will unfold in ways you could never predict. People will appear, resources will flow, but only after you commit to the vision internally. Thinking from the end means trusting that what you desire is already on its way. One of the most effective ways to practice this is through mental rehearsal. You imagine in vivid detail living the life you want. You see it, hear it, touch it, taste it, and most importantly, feel it. You walk through your dream house. You sit at the head of your company. You feel the love of your ideal relationship. You embody that version of yourself in the most natural way possible. You're not hoping for it. You're living it in your inner world. And the more real you make it inside, the faster it manifests outside. When you think from the end, your identity begins to shift. You're no longer trying to become something. You already are it. And because you are it, you think differently, feel differently, act differently. That identity shift is what drives transformation. You don't have to force it. You just keep thinking from the end and your behavior will begin to match. You'll start saying no to things that don't align. You'll start saying yes to opportunities that scare you. You'll take bolder actions because your self-image now includes the outcome. You believe it's yours, so you move through life as though it's already done. This is also a powerful way to eliminate self-doubt. Doubt thrives in the space between desire and belief. But when you think from the end, you remove that space. You step into certainty. You're not wondering if it will happen. You're acting as though it already has. That certainty is what quiets the doubt. It silences the inner critic. It allows you to focus your energy fully on creating instead of questioning. Another benefit of thinking from the end is that it clarifies your purpose. You start to filter your life through the lens of your desired future. Does this support the vision or distract from it? Is this aligned with who I'm becoming? Your standards rise, your habits evolve, your environment changes. You no longer tolerate what you used to, not because you're forcing change, but because the person you're thinking from would never settle for less. That shift is automatic when your mind is anchored in the outcome. This way of thinking also protects you from being reactive. Most people live in reaction mode. They respond to what's happening around them, which keeps them in a loop. But when you think from the end, you create from within. You initiate, you lead, you move with intention. That's the difference between living by design and living by default. One is deliberate, the other is accidental. One puts you in control, the other keeps you at the mercy of circumstance. Thinking from the end result is not about tricking your mind, it's about training it. It's a daily practice, a way of being. It's choosing to think like the person who has already achieved the goal, even when nothing around you suggests it's possible, especially then. Because that's when your belief is tested, and that's when the seeds you've planted begin to take root. When you persist in this way of thinking, life begins to organize itself around your vision. People show up. Doors open. Coincidences align. Not because you're lucky, but because you've aligned your consciousness with the outcome. Aligning belief with desire is one of the most important yet most overlooked parts of achieving success. Everyone has desires. People want more money, better health, fulfilling relationships, freedom, happiness. The problem isn't that they want too much. It's that their belief doesn't match their desire. They want something big, but deep down they don't believe they can have it. That disconnect is what creates frustration, delay, and in many cases, total stagnation. When belief and desire are in harmony, movement begins. The mind and body align, energy flows, and things start to happen almost effortlessly. Your belief system is the internal framework that defines what you think is possible for you. It operates mostly below the surface in the subconscious, and it was formed by past experiences, childhood conditioning, social influences, and repeated thoughts. If you desire wealth but you believe money is hard to earn, or that rich people are greedy, or that you don't deserve abundance, your subconscious will reject that desire. It'll create self-sabotage. It'll make you hesitate, procrastinate, or unconsciously attract failure. Not because you don't want success, but because your beliefs are not in agreement with that outcome. This is why it's not enough to set goals and visualize outcomes. You have to bring your beliefs up to the level of your desire. Until you truly believe that what you want is possible and that you are worthy of it, nothing will shift. Belief is the bridge between thought and reality. When you believe, you act differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with confidence. You no longer question if, it becomes a matter of when. That internal certainty is what causes the outer world to reflect your vision. So how do you align belief with desire? The first step is awareness. You have to become aware of the beliefs you currently hold. You do that by observing your patterns, your results, and your self-talk. If you consistently set goals and fall short, there's a belief underneath that needs attention. If you feel resistance when you imagine having the thing you want, there's a belief causing the friction. You have to be honest with yourself. Ask, what do I believe about myself? About success? About money? About love? Write it down. Get it out of your head and onto paper. When you expose the belief, you weaken its hold. Next, you must question the belief. Just because you've believed something for a long time doesn't make it true. Many beliefs are inherited. They were passed down to you by people who never examined them either. You might believe you're not smart enough because a teacher said it once. You might believe success requires struggle because your parents lived in scarcity. But these beliefs are not facts. They are ideas you've accepted without proof. You must challenge them. Ask, is this true? Oh, where did this come from? Do I choose to keep believing this? You have the power to reject a belief and replace it with one that supports your desire. Affirmations can be a useful tool, but they only work if they're believable. If you say I'm a millionaire, but deep down feel it's a lie, your subconscious will resist. The trick is to find affirmations that stretch you but still feel possible. For example, I'm learning to create wealth, or every day I'm growing into the person who attracts abundance. These statements bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Over time, as repetition rewires the subconscious, you can shift to stronger affirmations. The key is consistency and emotional engagement. You must feel what you say, not just repeat it like a robot. Another powerful way to align belief with desire is through evidence. Your mind loves proof, so give it some. Look for stories of people who have achieved what you want. Read biographies, watch interviews, study their mindset. When you see examples of people who came from nothing and built incredible lives, you start to dismantle your own limitations. You start to say, if they can do it, I can do it. That comparison, when used positively, is not envy. It's inspiration. It lifts your belief by showing what's possible. Visualization also helps to reprogram belief. When you vividly imagine yourself living your dream and you feel the emotions of that experience, you're training your mind to accept it as real. Over time, the subconscious begins to accept the new image as normal. The more familiar something becomes, the less resistance you have to it. The brain starts to look for ways to match the outer reality to the inner picture. This is how belief is shaped, by repeated, emotionally charged mental rehearsal. But the real shift happens through action. When you take small steps toward your desire, even before you fully believe, you create momentum. That momentum builds confidence, and confidence strengthens belief. It becomes a feedback loop. You act, you see progress, you believe more, so you act more. Waiting for full belief before you begin is a trap. You'll never feel 100% ready, but belief grows in the doing. Start where you are. Take the step. Let action prove the belief to yourself. Surrounding yourself with the right people also impacts your belief system. If you're always around people who doubt, criticize, or limit themselves, that energy affects you. But if you're in an environment where people dream big, act boldly, and speak success fluently, your mindset will rise to meet it. Community shapes belief. Conversation shapes belief. Guard your environment like your life depends on it, because it does. Your future depends on the ideas you allow into your mind. Emotions also play a vital role. You must learn to associate positive emotions with your desire. If you feel anxiety, guilt, or fear when you think about your goal, those emotions signal a belief that contradicts it. You need to replace those feelings with gratitude, joy, and excitement. Feel grateful in advance, feel successful now. But when you practice making decisions, even small ones, you reclaim that trust. You start to believe in your ability to choose, commit, and follow through. Most people wait for certainty before they decide, but certainty never comes first. It comes after. Waiting to feel 100% sure is a form of fear disguised as logic. Growth lives outside of certainty. Decision requires courage. It requires stepping into the unknown with faith in yourself and the process. You don't need to know how it will all work out. You just need to know what you want and make the decision that you will have it. The how reveals itself along the way. The path is made clear through movement. Not waiting. Clarity often comes after the decision, not before. People think they need to be totally clear before they choose, but clarity is created through commitment. When you make a firm decision, your mind gets to work finding solutions, filtering information, and guiding your focus. It's like tuning a radio. Until you choose the frequency, all you hear is static. But once you dial in, everything becomes clearer. That's what a decision does. It tunes your mind to the frequency of your goal. Your decision must be final. Most people decide halfway. They decide as long as it's convenient, as long as it's easy, as long as no one challenges them. But a true decision is made once and for all. It's not remade every time discomfort shows up. You don't keep revisiting it, you move forward with it. That level of commitment is rare, but it's the reason successful people stand out. They don't live by conditions, they live by decisions. Their word to themselves is law. That's how they build momentum, consistency, and unshakable belief. Repetition strengthens decision. You decide once, but you reinforce it every day with your actions. Each choice you make in alignment with that decision adds weight to it. It becomes part of your identity. You no longer have to think about it, you are it. If you decide to become wealthy, for example, you don't just say it once. You decide again every time you wake up early, study your craft, invest in your growth, and say no to distractions. That consistency proves the decision to your subconscious environment plays a role in decision as well. If you're surrounded by people who doubt, delay, and dwell, it's harder to make strong decisions. But if you're in a circle of action takers, clarity becomes contagious. The right environment accelerates decision-making by reducing mental friction. You see others move, and it reminds you that action is always an option. Surround yourself with people who live by vision, not by fear. Their energy will elevate yours and support your decisions, especially in moments of doubt. Fear is the main reason people avoid decisions. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of making the wrong choice. But indecision is more dangerous than any wrong turn. You can course correct a bad decision. You can learn from it, grow from it, and pivot. But you can't grow from staying still. Movement creates clarity. Action reveals direction. No one succeeds by avoiding risk. They succeed by making bold decisions, trusting themselves, and adjusting as they go. Decisions should be made from the place of who you want to become, not who you've been. Most people make decisions based on their past, what they've done, what's worked, what they think is realistic. But if you want to grow, you must start making decisions from your future. Ask yourself, what would the version of me who already has this do? That's how you align your choices with your vision. You begin to live from the identity you're stepping into, not the one you're leaving behind. The speed of decision is also important. Successful people decide quickly and change their minds slowly, if at all. Unsuccessful people take forever to decide and change their minds constantly. Quick decision-making doesn't mean impulsive. It means intuitive. You trust your inner knowing. You listen to your gut. You make the best choice with what you have and you move forward. Speed builds confidence. It builds momentum. It sends a message to your subconscious that you are in charge. You are not at the mercy of life. You are the one steering the wheel. You must also decide who you are willing to become. Most people want change, but they're not willing to let go of who they've been. Every decision involves loss. When you choose one path, you leave another behind. That's not a problem. It's a requirement. Growth means shedding old identities, old habits, old limitations. You can't become a new version of yourself while clinging to the past. Decision means letting go. It means saying, this is who I was, but this is who I now choose to be. That declaration is what opens new doors. Visualization enhances decision-making. When you see yourself living the result of your decision, when you feel the emotions of that reality, you deepen your commitment. The mind begins to accept the outcome as real. It starts to act in alignment with that vision. Visualization isn't fantasy, it's rehearsal. It trains your subconscious to expect the result, and what the mind expects it moves toward. Combine decision with daily visualization, and you create a force that reshapes your reality. You must also eliminate the habit of seeking approval. Every time you base your decisions on what others think, you weaken your power. You start living a life that pleases others but betrays yourself. True decision-making is internal. It's based on your values, your goals, your calling. When you make decisions from your center, you become unshakable. You stop asking for permission and start living with intention. That kind of decision-making attracts respect, opportunity, and alignment with your highest self, finally. Decision must be followed by action. Without action, it's just a wish. The moment you decide, act. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. The smallest action taken in alignment with a strong decision carries more power than hours of planning and overthinking. Action is the proof of decision. It is the bridge between thought and result. It's how the invisible becomes visible. Once you've decided, the next step doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be taken. From there, momentum takes over, and with each step forward, the decision becomes more real. More solid and more powerful. Imagination is the workshop of the mind, the birthplace of every invention, every breakthrough, every dream ever realized. It is not a childish fantasy or a luxury reserved for artists. It is the most powerful tool we have to shape reality. Everything you see around you, every product, building, system, and solution was first imagined. Before it was made physical, it was made mental. That's the sequence of creation. First in the mind, then in the world. Yet most people ignore their imagination. They were taught to suppress it, to be realistic, to think only in terms of what is, not what could be, but nothing truly great was ever created by someone who only thought in terms of what already exists. The people who transform the world use their imagination as their primary compass. They live from vision, not memory. While the average mind replays the past, the successful mind preplays the future. It rehearses success. It sees possibilities where others see problems. It doesn't just ask what is, it asks what could be. That's the difference between surviving and creating. Creation begins with a picture in your mind, fueled by belief, driven by emotion, and backed by action. The key is to understand that imagination is not passive, it's directive. It's not about escaping reality, it's about designing it. Your mind will go somewhere. If you don't direct it with imagination, it will default to worry, limitation, and doubt. The same mental faculty that creates fear also creates vision. Worry is imagination in reverse. When you worry, you're visualizing what you don't want. You're giving life to negative outcomes, practicing failure in advance. But when you deliberately use your imagination to picture success, to feel it, to embody it, you begin aligning yourself with that future. Most people's imagination has been hijacked by their environment. They only imagine what they think is likely based on what they've already experienced, but that's not imagination. That's memory. True imagination transcends what is probable and focuses on what is possible. Possibility is where genius lives. You don't need to know how it will happen when you imagine it. Your job is to see it, to feel it, to believe it enough that your subconscious begins to accept it as truth. The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. It responds to the dominant picture and feeling you hold. That's why the greatest achievers rehearse success mentally before it ever happens externally. Athletes do this. Entrepreneurs do this. Performers do this. They imagine the outcome so clearly that when it happens in real life, it feels familiar. They've already been there in their minds. This creates confidence. It dissolves fear. It accelerates results. You begin to behave in ways that match the image in your mind. Your body language changes. Your decisions shift. Your energy becomes magnetic. People feel it and opportunities respond to it. The problem is, most people stopped imagining after childhood. They were told to be practical, to grow up, to follow the rules and color inside the lines. But imagination has no line. You don't fake it until you make it. You imagine it until you embody it. Identity is a choice, and imagination is the tool to create it. Imagination also breaks limitation. Every limiting belief is a result of mental conditioning, not truth. You were told something enough times that you believed